The importance of Shechem. Okay. The importance of Shechem. I just want to review a bit from yesterday what Pastor David left off. Remember, he left off the fulfillment of the covenant torch. Finally, Joseph, in the end of his lectures, Joseph's bones, they were buried where? Shechem, right? Those bones, they were buried at Shechem. And he was also talking about how it was not easy to fulfill this, right? Need somebody to remember, those who remember the covenant, even though it was 360 years, right? Remember he mentioned 360 years? Okay. Joseph died at the age of 110, and it's 360 years later after he died, after he made the brother's promise. Moses remembered, and he carried Joseph's bones out of Egypt. And then not only that, not only someone has to remember, someone has to carry. People have to carry those bones. Exodus 40 years, wilderness journey. And then there's 16 years of conquest. And then the year 1390 BC, finally the bones were buried. So those people carrying those bones, not just 40 years. And here is very dangerous, right? Even when they're crossing all this wilderness, enemies try to attack them, but they cannot let go of that, the coffin. They cannot just say, they run away. They cannot just drop and run away. No, they always have to carry with them. And then all the way, before entering Canaan, they have to remember, because without the bone, do you think they can enter to Canaan? Oh, the whole point is to fulfill, right? Fulfill the covenant torch. So that bones also need to get into Canaan, and later on buried at Shechem. So even here, with the fighting, 6 years of fighting the Canaanites, and then after that, there's 10 years of allocating the land. They still have to carry that, and then finally, the bones were buried. So it was not easy, but at the end, be fulfilled, right? God helped them fulfill the covenant of the torch. And what's really amazing, once they arrive, everything is done, fighting, allocation of the land, they met up at Shechem. Joshua was still the leader, and when they arrived at Shechem, Joshua reminded them again about the law. He told them about the law because Moses told him, hey, once you get in there, remind them again about the law. Right? About the ordinances, the statutes. So once they're in there, he proclaimed the law at that place, Shechem. And then there they renewed their covenant with God. At the place, so they renewed there and they rededicated themselves. Okay, we are God's chosen people. We want to be God's people. And it's at this place they renewed their covenant. That's in Joshua chapter 24. And then when we see Joshua chapter 24 verse 29, it says Joshua died at the age of 110. So first he gave them the law, he proclaimed, they all made a strong commitment again, okay, we're going to be God's people again. And that's the reason why. It's probably very emotional for them doing that over there. And I'll explain it to you later. It's actually, for us when we read it, we don't understand, but we just we know the history. It was probably a very big deal for them to be at Shechem, to hear the law, to actually read that location, right? To remember all the things that happened before, remember the days of old. And then after everything is done, Joshua died at the age of 110. And then in Joshua chapter 24, verse 32, then they buried Joseph's bones. they buried the bones. And you know, from the time he died to here, that's 416 years later. He made a promise, hey, when you guys, brothers, when God take you out from the land of Egypt, please bring my bones with you. Remember, bring my bones with you. Right? From the time he died, all the way 416 years. Right? 360 plus the 40 years of journey, plus the 16 years of conquest. We got 416 years. Then finally, they buried Joseph's bone and the covenant of torch was fulfilled. Okay. And then again, we know from Pastor David, yes, he died. He died in Egypt. By his bones, right? Through his bones, the covenants were fulfilled. Now the question is, why? Why Shechem? What is so important about this place, Shechem? Why does it have to be there? Why? Because this is an important place in the history of redemption. What does that mean? Why is it important? First, when we remember Abraham, Shechem was the first place he went to, right? When he went from Haran to remember, he journeyed from Haran. God called him out, and he went. And then the first place is Shechem. The first place he went in the land of Canaan is Shechem. Okay, you're right there. Can someone please in Genesis chapter 12, verse 6 to 7? Genesis chapter 12, verse 6 to 7.
Abram passed through the land as far as the site of Shechem to the oak of Moreh. Now the Canaanite was then in the land. The Lord appeared to Abram and said, to your descendants I will give this land. So he built an altar there to the Lord who had appeared to him.
Amen. So he arrived there, he arrived Shechem, and God promised to your descendants, I will give you this land. And then right there, he established the covenant with Abraham regarding this land. So not only was it the first time, but it was also, remember, we learned yesterday, it was the first time where God promised the land. Okay, God promised the land to his descendants. And then when he received that covenant, what did he do? He built an altar for God. And also it's the first place, the first altar he built in the land of Canaan for God. Okay? So the first he went to the Canaan, the place he went to, first time he received the covenant regarding the land, and also the first time he built an altar for God. Okay? So to them, when they arrived there, they remember the story, because Moses probably told them the story, right? Remember they told them all the stories. So when they went there, they probably were able to see, this is the place. Right? Maybe they were able to see the altar and said, well, you know it's true. Right? This is a place, and then you know, because they don't know, right? They were all from Egypt. They don't know anything about it. They don't know. They've never been back there. The first generation died, and the second generation, they were even born. They were born here. A lot of them they never been back there. But now they were able to go in Canaan, and they were able to see Shechem. It's like all the story comes together. And then right there, when they do that, they receive the law. Says, okay, we want to recommit. Okay, we want to be God's chosen people again, right? And they believe, and that's why you know it's actually pretty amazing for them at the time. But not only just for Abraham, especially for Jacob. This place is really very meaningful for Jacob. Why? Because same thing. It's almost like Abraham. He was from Haran, and then he moved to Luz, later on called Bethel, and from there he moved to a place called Padan Aram. Remember? And then after that, then he went back. And the first place again he stepped in when he returned to the land of Canaan is also Shechem. Can you guys remember the story? Okay, he also went to Shechem. He also, like Abraham, he also crossed the river, but he ended up at Shechem. Why did he have to go through this journey? I'm sure you know the story, but let me just refresh. Because why? Because after he received the firstborn blessing, his brother Esau wanted to kill him. So because of that, Isaac told him, no, go to your uncle Padan Aram. Go there. You know, don't let your brother kill you. So he went, and on the way, he stopped at a place called Luz. And he slept, and there in that place, he received a dream from God. He saw the ladder coming up and down from the heavens to the earth, angels coming up and down, and right there God promised him. He says, I will be your God, I will bless you, I will keep you safe, I will protect you, and I promise you that I will bring you back to your land. That's what God promised, right? And when he woke up, he said, this has to be, God has to be here. So he changed the name to Bethel. This is the house of God. Bethel meaning house of God. Right? He said God has to be here, and he changed the name to Bethel. And then he promised God, okay, God, if you for sure will keep me safe, protect me, and one day you will allow me to come safely to land of Canaan, then you will be my God. I will build an altar for you here. I will build an altar for you here, and I will give you a tenth of what I have. That's his promise to God. Okay. That's in Genesis chapter 28, verse 10 to 22. Genesis chapter 28, 10 to 22. Okay. But later, we know the story. Okay, from here, he went to Padan Aram. It's all around here, around Padan Aram. And he actually stayed there for 20 years. 20 years. And it was not an easy 20 years. God promised, I will bless you, I will keep you safe, no one will harm you. You will have descendants. But when he was in Padan Aram, he was really actually suffering. He had to spend 7 years for his wife, and then had another 7 years for the other wife, and then he had to spend 6 years for the flocks. Right? He wanted Rachel. But Laban tricked him, right? And gave him Leah and said, okay, 7 more years for Rachel then. And then 6 more years for the flocks. So 20 years, really suffering. And he even it's recorded in the Bible. He did not sleep well, he was cold, he did not eat well. Laban changed his wages 10 times. Here, he was a deceiver. That's his name, deceiver. But now when he went there, he met his match. Now he got deceived by Laban, right? And he had worked for 20 years. But let's go to Genesis. Someone please, Genesis 31, verse 7. Genesis 31, 7. Genesis 31, 7.
Yet your father has cheated me and changed my wages 10 times. However, God did not allow him to hurt you.
Yeah, he received, he really believed in the blessing of the firstborn. Here, he received the blessing of the firstborn. He was so happy, and now God promised him. But when he went there, he was cheated 10 times, right? And it wasn't good for him. Even though God promised him, but he was not immediately prosperous, right? He had to go through that suffering. So that 20 years, actually God was humbling him for 20 years. And then after he finished his training, and then God told him, okay, come back, get out of here, return to your land. So the question is, did God fulfill his promise to Jacob. Did God fulfill his promise to Jacob? He did, right? Yes, it took 20 years, but not, but he suffered 20 years, but he came out with great abundance. He went there one person, but he came out with four wives. He has, at that time, he had 11 sons. Because Benjamin was not born until later, until when he was in Canaan. 4 wives, 11 sons, lots of servants, male, female servants, lots of animals. God really blessed them. Right? Even though he did suffer, but remember the verse that we read, God did not permit Laban to harm him. So God indeed protected him for the 20 years, and he came out with great possessions. And then not only that, he was able to safely return. Even though Esau wanted to come with 400 men to kill him, but he was able to return back to the land. So by God's providence, after 20 years, he was able to return. What about Jacob? Did he fulfill his promise, his vow to God? What was his promise to God? He says, God, if you protect me, if you let me come back here safely, I will build an altar here, the place where I received that dream, and I'll give you 10. Right? That place is Bethel. Right? He changed the name to Bethel, house of God. Did he fulfill his promise? Not immediately, right? What do you do? Instead of fulfilling his promise, he went to Shechem. Not for a short time, actually for a long time. Let's turn to Genesis chapter 33, verse 18 to 20. Genesis chapter 33, verse 18 to 20.
Jacob came safely to the city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, on his way from Padan-Aram, and he camped before the city. And from the sons of Hamor, Shechem's father, he bought for 100 pieces of money the piece of land on which he had pitched his tent. There he erected an altar and called it L1-Israel.
Thank you. So it's almost like he's following Abraham's footsteps. Right? From here, he went down, he purchased the land, and he built an altar. Just like Abraham from Canaan, and he built an altar. He must have remembered the covenant that God made with Abraham. Genesis chapter 12, verse 7, God says to your descendants, I will give you this land. So he must have remembered that, and he stayed there. And then, he must have also heard, it was the first place where Abraham, went after he left from Haran, altar, and he went there and he built that altar. How would Jacob know this? Do you think he really know about all that? The first place and built altar, God made a covenant with Abraham. Do you think he know about that? Yes, of course. Okay. So that's why he bought that piece of land. It's almost like a guarantee. Yes, one day God will fulfill that covenant. Shechem represents the entire Canaan. So right there he bought the land. Okay, he knows the covenants, and one day God will for sure fulfill his covenant made with Abraham. So by buying that, it's like a guarantee, it's like a seal that it will happen. Okay. So again, how did he know all this? Let's turn to Genesis chapter 25, verse 27. Genesis chapter 25, verse 27.
When the boys grew up, Esau became a skillful hunter, a man of the field, but Jacob was a peaceful man, living in tents.
Yeah. See, Esau is someone who likes to be outdoors, hunting. But it says here, Jacob is someone who stays in the tent. Right? He likes to stay indoor. And then we know Esau, even though he was the physical firstborn, the Bible says he despised his birthright. But Jacob is different. No, he wanted to be that firstborn because he understands. Firstborn receives double blessing. Right? He wanted to be that firstborn, even though the brother despised, but Jacob really wanted that. Let's turn to Hebrews chapter 11, verse 9. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 9.
By faith he lived as an alien in the land of promise, as in a foreign land, dwelling in tents with Isaac and Jacob, fellow heirs of the same promise.
So you see right there, Jacob is someone who likes to dwell in tent. And here in Hebrews it says Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, they stay in the tent together for 15 years. Okay. He's someone who really, so that means Jacob is someone who heard the stories, who believed in God's covenant, and he wanted that. He wanted that promise. He wanted to be that firstborn. He wanted to receive that firstborn blessing. And we know, right? Esau, he despised so much. He sold his birthright for a bowl of lentil. But Jacob said, okay, you sell me. He didn't ask for money. He didn't ask for whatever. He said, sell me your birthright. I want that. And then later on, again, he was able to receive that firstborn blessing from Isaac, and that's why Esau wanted to kill him, and that's why he ran away, right? So right there, you see, he's someone who really wanted. Esau probably didn't want to hear it. Welcome, then. I don't care about it. Let me go outside and do hunting. I don't care about all this, promise, whatever. I'm good. I'm happy. I don't want to hear the covenant. But here, no. With Jacob, he believed in the covenant. And then when he returned, he stayed at Shechem. He bought a plot of land, and then he built an altar for God. Okay, it's like a seal that for sure it will happen. And he became yesterday, Pastor David was saying he became the firstborn that has the covenant. Right? It was Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, right? He's the son of promise, even though he's not the firstborn. But there was a struggle outside, right? With Ishmael. Here, even inside the womb, there was a struggle already. In this womb, there was a struggle, right? He came out first, but Jacob wanted that. The story is almost like a repeat story. It's the same thing, Cain and Abel. Right? It's almost like the one with the bad seed trying to kill the good seed. Who is the next seed? Who is the one with the covenant? Who the one really believe and appreciate and understand who wants to keep it, right? He really wanted it. Okay, and he became the firstborn of the covenant. And there, while he was in the tent with Abraham, for sure Abraham, hey, this is what happened to me. This is what happened. During, there's Tower of Babel, there's this Haran, my father delayed, and I came here, and God promised me this land you're standing on, this whole thing will be yours. And again, remember, he even promised God, I will give you a tent. Where do you think he learned that from too? Where tent, the tent, giving the tent the tithes, it's not until later. It's not until they were in the Exodus, Moses gave the law. It's okay, you have to give the tent to God. He probably, maybe heard the story about Abraham. One day, the kings from the north attacked the south. He took away Lot. And I came and attacked them, I rescued, came back, and I gave a tent to Melchizedek. Right. Maybe he heard that story, maybe he did the same thing, and he promised God, okay, God, I will also give you a tent. You let me come back and say, okay, I'll give you a tent of everything. Right? So again, this was the place where Abraham built the altar, and then he did the same thing, right? To do the seal. And then he bought the piece, he bought the piece of the land for 100 pieces of silver. And he called it Elohim Israel. It means God, the God of Israel. Why? Why did he call it the God of Israel? Why not he call it the God of Jacob? When he built the altar, why not just call it the God of Jacob? Because we know Israel it was his new name, right? New name. And later on, his descendants will be the Israelites. So by faith, he already called it Israel. Let's go to Genesis chapter 32, verse 28. Genesis chapter 32, verse 28. Genesis 32, verse 28.
He said, your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel. For you have striven with God and with men and have prevailed.
Yeah, the name of Israel, you have struggled with God and with man, and you have prevailed. So the name has meaning you prevail. Right? It's the God of Israel. You believe that this land, it will prevail. He will receive all this. Descendants will receive. Later on, Israel, again, the name of his descendants, the nation. And he believed one day his descendants will definitely take over this land. So he called it right there, and he called it God of Israel. Right? The nation that's formed through him will take over the land. Okay? And then, remember I said, so Shechem, why do we do it here? Because Shechem was the first place. It represents actually the entire land of Canaan. And we know, at the end, God's covenant to Abraham was fulfilled there, right? With Joseph. It was also fulfilled there. All that promise about the land, the people, the covenant torch, and then it was also, fulfilled there. Okay. So that's why that's why Jacob, he was, by faith, he called that place, or they called that altar, the God of Israel, knowing that God will fulfill his word. So, let's continue the story. So he did that, he went there, he did all that. What happened to him next? What happened to Jacob next in that Shechem? Yes, remember? Bad things happened to him. Yes. Okay. Bad things happened to him. His daughter, Dinah, was raped. And then his two sons, Levi and Simeon, they committed murder, right? Using the holy covenant of God, of circumcision. Let's read. Let's go to Genesis 34, verse 1.
One day, Dinah, the daughter of Jacob and Leah, went to visit some of the Canaanite women.
Okay, amen. So here, the daughter Dinah of Jacob, he went out and he wanted to go see, check out Shechem, check out that area. And that word, to see, to visit, is Ra'ah, right? She came to see, to visit Ra'ah. And it's not just to see, I'm going to see something, I'm going to do this. No, but it's like really going there again and again and again because she likes to see it and continuously see. I went out to see the daughters of the land. Okay, so it's almost like that. The word "right" is like he carefully inspected because she wanted, and it's like almost receiving that experience, that personal experience. So it's not just simply seeing to observe, those people are doing that way. No, she really liked what she sees and she wanted to experience that. And then she went many times. She wanted to go mingle and with the people, but then what happened? She caught the eye of the man Shechem, the son of Hamor, and he raped her. Okay, but she keep on going back. And this reminds us of the time in the days of Noah, how the Son of Man, saw the daughters of the daughters of man. It's almost like the line of Seth wanted to see the line of Cain. They're so good, they're so rich, they're so famous, movie star, whatever, and then they saw that, they like it, and they intermingled, right? And because that the whole earth was sinful. And God started again with Noah. So it's almost the same thing here. She went there and she raw, and then because she thought Shechem saw her, and then he raped her. Okay, and he wanted her really badly, and he made a deal with the family, with Jacob and the brothers. Okay, if we all circumcise all the men, okay, you can either marry, you can buy and sell with us. But we know it was bad because it was a trick of Levi, Simeon, the brothers, and then to use circumcision to murder. Okay. But we know circumcision is not, they just do it, or it signifies a separation between God's people and the Gentiles, right? You know, they separate, and then this is a covenant that God established with His people. It's an everlasting covenant that God established with people. That's in Genesis 17. But one more thing that's really important, this actually foreshadows baptism in the New Testament. It's a separation. Here, circumcision, you bled. In baptism, we know Jesus Christ shed His blood for us. So baptism is when we get baptized, we believe is we participate in Jesus' death and resurrection, right? We separate it from the sinful world. So here, circumcision, God separated His people and the Gentiles, so it's something holy, but they use it to murder. While they were still in pain, the men of Shechem, Hamor, they were still in pain. Levi, Simeon went there and murdered them all. Okay. So God was angry, and Jacob was angry, and He called them you weapons of violence, you instruments of violence. And then He even, later on, He even cursed their descendants for doing this. And then we see at the same time, because that happened, Jacob was scared, thinking that maybe other people will come and attack them. Okay, and he got scared. And then, why? Why did this happen? Why did such a bad thing happen? I thought he did a good job. I thought he followed Abraham's footsteps. Went to this place, by faith bought the plot of land, by faith built the altar, right? Name it God of Israel, God of Israel. I thought he did really good. Why did all those bad things happen? The reason is because he did not keep his vow. He did not keep his promise. At Bethel, he promised, okay, I'm gonna come back. If you keep your promise, God, I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna build an altar here, I'm gonna give you a tenth of what I have. Okay. But again, he did not do it, right? He stayed there. Can someone please go to Genesis chapter 28, verse 20 to 21. Genesis chapter 28, verse 20 to 21.
Then Jacob made a vow, saying, if God will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and clothing to wear, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then the Lord shall be my God.
And then, 22.
And this stone which I have set up a pillar shall be God's house, and of all that you give me, I will give a full tenth to you.
Amen. Thank you. So yes, he purchased the land of Shechem, 400 pieces of silver, and he built the altar. That's all good. But after that, okay, that's good. After that, he had to go to Bethel and keep his promise. Yeah, do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But instead, he stayed there for a long time. It is estimated that he stayed there for almost 10 years, for about 10 years. So that means he was unfaithful in keeping his vow. So what did God do? Then God came to him. He was scared. God came to him, okay, go to Bethel. Keep your promise. Build that altar for me. And then God also said, get rid of all your idols. Get rid of all the impurities. Change your old ways. So God wanted him to keep his vow so that he can be the successor of the covenant, of the covenant torch, right? For him to be worthy to be successor, he has to keep his vow. If he is someone who lied, cannot keep them, he cannot be the successor to the covenant. So So God told him, get rid of this, purify yourself, change your clothes, change your garment, go to Bethel, and build the altar for me. So, after receiving, he did, right? He called his family, he says, hey, whatever idols you have, take it out. Take it out and where? And they buried it at Shechem. So another important place, Shechem, not only they came here and did all that, but this is also a place where they buried their idols. So all, again, when the Israelites they enter, Moses, and then later Joshua probably told them all this story. This is the place where they buried their idols, where they have to come here, and then go to Bethel, to the house of God. Let's go turn to Genesis 35, verse 1 to 3. Genesis 35, verse 1 to 3.
Then God said to Jacob, arise, go up to Bethel and live there and make an altar there to God, who appeared to you when you fled from your brother Esau. So Jacob said to his household and to all who were with him, put away the foreign gods which are among you, and purify yourselves and change your garments. And let us rise and go up to Bethel, and I will make an altar there to God, who answered me in the day of my distress and has been with me wherever I have gone.
Amen. So for him to say, remove your foreign gods, that means they do have foreign gods. Even though they left already Paran, they already crossed the river, they went to the land of Canaan, the land of God promised, but they still were holding on to idols, to foreign gods. Right? So it's showing us the same thing, Likewise, we believe in Jesus Christ, but do we still have idols in us? If we do, then we have to get rid of it, or it will not be well, right? Idols is something that you put God above that something. Sometimes there are things that are more important to us, and we put it above God, and that is idol. We say we believe, but do we have that? If we have that, then we have to get rid of it. If you want to be those who carry the covenant torch, who fulfill the covenant torch, then those things have to go. And we can see from what is in the tell that for sure they are still carrying idol, and that's the story of Rachel, right? She stole her father's idol, and then she hid it, and she took it with her to the land of Canaan. So even though they want to stop, they want to let go, they want to leave this land, but she cannot let go of that idol. So we read. Can we go to Genesis 31:19? Genesis 31:19.
Laban had gone to shear his sheep, and restored her father's household gods.
Thank you. And can we jump to 34? Verse 34.
Now Rachel had taken up the household gods and put them in the camel's sandal and sat on them, and Laban felt all about the tent, but he did not find them.
Amen. Thank you. So again, if they left, you should hold on to it. So right there, prove they still have idols, and that's why Jacob says, you have to get rid of idols, purify yourself, change your clothes, and come to Bethel. And so after all those bad things happened, they did, right? They collect all the idols, they buried there, and where? And then it's also at Shechem. So this is the place where they repented and they threw away all of their idols. And later on, I want to show you, we're going to take a break, okay? I want to show you, even that is very significant, because it has that redemptive significance and it really points to Jesus Christ. Okay? So, we're going to continue. Let's take a break now. Okay, let's begin. So we're going to continue. And remember, this kind of reminds us of the story. Remember how Jacob met Rachel at the well? And then that's where he fell for Rachel. But also reminds us of the story where Jesus met the woman in Samaria. Right? So she had many husbands, but right there, Jesus is the true groom, right? We're all bride, and she had many husbands, but he is the bridegroom. And right there, when we meet Jesus Christ, all those idols, all those things, needs to be. We need to get rid of all that. Okay. But we see that Rachel, she was still bringing all those stuff with her. Yeah, even entering into God's land. So let's turn again to Genesis chapter 35. Let's just read verse 2, Genesis 35:2. The question is, how can we get rid of all those all those idols and purify ourselves? Genesis 35, verse 2.
So Jacob said to his household and to all who were with him, get rid of the foreign gods you have with you, and purify yourself and change your clothes.
Yeah, 3 things there you have to do. Again, Jesus is the bridegroom, we're the bride. We need him, and we have to get rid of that. We have to purify ourselves. We have to change our clothes. 3 things. So all the things that we used to do before, beyond the river, all that we need to get rid of. We cannot bring that. Now that we believe, we cannot always bring that along with us. If we do that, then we cannot fulfill God's covenant. We cannot fulfill the covenant torch. So again, not only that, we have to bury it in Shechem. And Jesus helps us to bury that, right? All our sins, we nailed on the cross, and all that is buried with Jesus. So even Shechem is pointing to Jesus Christ. And the second thing, he says you have to purify, you have to clean yourself. So even though they went to God's land, God's land, but they're still unclean. And a lot of people are like that. They receive, they say they believe, but they're not clean yet. They need to purify themselves. They need to repent and check them. And then go to Bethel, go to the house of God. They need to push out all that impurities out there. The third thing is, they need to change their garments, it says, right? The garments is telling us who we are. So actually 3 things. It's talking about the same thing. It's getting rid of who we are. Our garment shows who we are. For example, like me in China, I always wear a suit and tie. And then they see in my congregation, oh, pastor. But as soon as I wear t-shirts and shorts, it's like they're so shocked. It's like, oh, that's not you. So your clothes tells who you are. A policeman wears police clothes. So but by changing that old clothes means change your old self. Change. You have to get rid of all those worldly things. Okay? And then so that means it's changing is not just old style, but it's changing our lifestyle. A prisoner, when they leave prison, they will not still wear these clothes. Right? They have to change their lifestyle, they have to change their clothes and be somewhat different, right? So by changing clothes, he's telling us, hey, get rid of your former ways. You already received Christ. Now you're already coming to God's land, and you have to change. You have to be different. Okay. Let's turn to Ephesians chapter 2, verse 1 to 2. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 1 to 2.
And you were dead in your trespasses and sins, in which you formerly walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, of the spirit that is now working in the sons of disobedience.
Amen. See, you were once walking according to the course of the world, you were disobedient, but now He had made you alive. Right? Change, right? If you continue, then it's not good. If you continue to walk the course of the world, the course of before, then we'll be in big trouble, right? Then we're dead. So we have to lay aside our old selves. Okay, and put on the new self. Put on that likeness of Jesus Christ. So here, right there, God is telling the family, you gotta change. Get rid of that and go to a place that you promised. Go to Bethel, go to the house of God, and build that. Fulfill your vows. Get rid of all that. Okay. Same thing with us. Okay, our life needs to be purified. Through Jesus Christ, it's like we cross that river, right? We meet Jesus Christ, we cross that river, and we come to the light of God. We gotta change. If we're stuck in the old self, then we'll still be the old self, then we'll be in trouble. And that's what happened here. Yes, they're doing God's work. He did a good job. Went there, bought a land, built an altar, but they still have the old ways. So at the end, they were still tragedy in the family. Okay? They really did not follow the work for them. So that's why for them, when they remember the story, they remember, this is where they buried all the idols. Right? To them, when they entered there, it's very significant for them. Another thing that why Shechem is really important is on Jacob's deathbed, he gave his final will to Joseph. And there he actually talks about Shechem. He called Joseph, said, Joseph, come over here. For sure, God will give you the land of Canaan. Okay. God will give you Shechem, God will give you the land of Canaan. You will possess Shechem. Let's turn that. Let's turn to Genesis chapter 48, verse 21-22. Genesis chapter 48, verse 21-22.
Then Israel said to Joseph, behold, I am about to die, but God will be with you and will bring you again to the land of your fathers. Moreover, I have given to you rather than to your brothers one mountainous lot that I took from the hand of the Amorites with my sword, with my bow.
So here Joseph says, for sure, you will definitely go back to the land of Canaan, and you will take, I'm giving you Shechem. How do you know Jacob is giving him Shechem? Joseph is like saying, you will for sure fulfill the covenant torch, and I'm giving you Shechem. How do we know? Because that one portion, I'm giving you one portion more than your brother. Why? Because as a firstborn, firstborn you get double portions, right? You get double blessings, you get double portions. So I'm giving you one extra land, one more portion than your brothers. And then that one double portion is talking about Shechem. Okay? Because that portion in Hebrew is Shechem. Okay? So right here, if you see the Hebrew, Jacob saying, I'm giving you Shechem. Okay, I'm giving you that one more portion. And then right there, that's why not only with Shechem was given to Joseph, this really became his burial site. He knows that's his, and it became the inheritance of Joseph's descendants. Okay. So that's why even in the last will, it was really important. It was given to Joseph. Let's go to Joshua 24, verse 32. Joshua chapter 24, verse 32.
Now they buried the bones of Joseph, which the sons of Israel brought up from Egypt at Shechem, in the piece of ground which Jacob had brought from the sons of Hamor, the father of Shechem, for 100 pieces of money. And they became the inheritance of Joseph's sons.
Yeah, and not only was it, again, later on, that portion, one extra portion that was given, that one Shechem that was given to Joseph, became his burial place, but also became the inheritance for Joseph's descendants. Okay? And another thing that's important in his last will, Jacob's last will, remember, he said, I'll give you one portion. And then he said here, which is something interesting, he said, which I took from the hand of the Amorites with my sword and my bow. Did he do that? Did he really take Shechem with his sword and hands and bows? No. But he already foreseen, he know that, remember, so he know about the coming of the torch. Until the sins, the iniquities of the Amorites is complete, then he will return, right? So he knows about that, and as if he was fighting with the Israelites. So right there, by faith, he believed that his children will go there and he will fight the Canaanites, and they will win with their hands and bows. It's almost as if he's with them, fighting this battle. Because again, he remembered the coming of the torch. He for sure he remembered us in the fourth generation, you will fulfill. And he gave that covenant to Joseph. You are the fourth generation. I'm giving you Shechem. That's where it's going to be fulfilled. Right? That's where God said, I'm going to give you, that's what God said to Abraham, I'm going to give you this land. Okay? That's where we built the altar there. You will go, you fight, I'll be there with you. And then sure enough, they went there. Right? At the end, with Joseph going. And so it is like, again, when they see and they remember all this, it's not just some place, name in the Bible. No, it's to them, it's very significant. Okay? So, at the moment, even at the death, his deathbed, he had that faith, he had the conviction in Jacob, and he's describing, what will happen. He is, in other words, he's firmly establishing that for sure God's covenant that will be fulfilled, the covenant of course will be fulfilled. But now I want to go tell you, okay, so that's why, to them, this is very, very important, very significant, okay? But let me erase this. We're going to see there are actually two contradictory accounts regarding Shechem. We see this is in an important place, but in the Bible there's two sides, two contradictory accounts of Shechem. First, in regard to Jacob's burial. Where was Jacob buried? Okay. We know, right? We know where Jacob was buried, right? In the cave of Machpelah. It's with Abraham, Isaac, right? Let's turn to Genesis chapter 50, verse 13. Genesis chapter 50, verse 13. So how can we try to explain this contradiction? Genesis chapter 15, verse 13.
They carried him to the land of Canaan and buried him in a cave in the field of Machpelah, near Mamre, which Abraham had bought along with the field as a burial place for Ephron the Hittite.
Cave of Machpelah. Thank you. And then we know, Abraham bought that because his wife Sarah died. He bought that cave, put it in there, and later on, all the Abraham, Isaac, and later on Jacob was also buried there. Why? Because he asked for it. He said that on his deathbed, that take me back to that cave, bury me with my fathers. So he asked to be buried here at Machpelah. Let's turn to Genesis 49, verse 29. Genesis 49, 29. Yes, good.
Then he charged them and said to them, I am about to be gathered to my people. Very be with my fathers, in the field, that is in the field of Shechem.
So yeah, see, he wanted to be buried in the cave in Ephraim, and Ephraim is at the cave of Machpelah. So we know he is buried in the cave of Machpelah. But the question is, why did Deacon Stephen say that he's buried at Shechem? He said otherwise, right? Let's go to Acts chapter 7, verse 15 to 16. Acts chapter 7, verse 15 through 16. What did it say there?
And Jacob went down to Egypt, and there he and our fathers died. From there they were removed to Shechem and laid in the tomb which Abraham had purchased for a sum of money from the sons of Hamor in Shechem.
Amen. So how can we resolve this? We know the Bible is inerrant, right? We know the Bible is the Word of God. So what's going on here? Who is Deacon Stephen? Why did he have to say Jacob buried at Shechem? Okay. So who is Deacon Stephen? We know he's one of the deacons that was chosen, one of 7 deacons that was chosen because he was full with the Holy Spirit. He was filled with wisdom. What happened is because that time in the early church, people were arguing about, the widows did not get their fair share of food. But Peter said, hey, we have to take care of the Word of God. We cannot be taking care about food, about what's going on. Let's get 7 deacons, 7 faithful people to take care of all this stuff. And Deacon was one of them, right? And the Bible very clearly says he's filled with, he's faithful, he has wisdom, he's full with God's Spirit, the Holy Spirit. Let's turn to Acts chapter 6, verse 3. Acts chapter 6, verse 3.
Brothers and sisters, choose 7 men from among you who are known to be full of the Spirit and wisdom. We will turn this responsibility over to them.
Yeah, so he's one of them, he's someone who has a spiritual insight about God's administration in history of redemption. But then it's so sad. But when he speaks, remember he was in Acts 7, he was really talking about the whole, the Old Testament. He was testifying, but he was so filled with the Holy Spirit, nobody really understood what he's talking about. Remember, even there, he was talking about Terah's death, and then Jacob's death, right? Aponesco, Telatau. And then, no one really can understand because he was full of grace, full of power, and he spoke in that spiritual level. Okay. Can you please go to verse 8?
8.
Yes. Chapter 6, verse 8.
Now Stephen, a man full of God's grace and power, performed great wonders and signs among people.
Yeah, amen. So again, he was filled with wisdom and spirit, yet people cannot really understand what he's talking about. And so Deacon Stephen was speaking on the perspective of God's administration in the history of redemption. And then, so if he really filled with the Spirit, how can he be mistaken? Right? How can he mistaken, testifying, Jacob was born in Shechem. He cannot, right? It's not mistaken, but there's a reason why he identified Shechem as Jacob's burial. Actually, out of all the patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, only Joseph was buried in Shechem. Everybody else is, only him, only Joseph. So why would he say, Jacob? Because actually he was showcasing Jacob's faith. Right? He was showing actually Jacob's faith. God sees people's faith. So even though Joseph was buried there, but it's through Jacob's faith that he was there, that Joseph was there. Okay? And it shows that how it was Jacob who influenced Joseph's faith, right? And then so that's why he was able to be there. He believed in the covenant God with Abraham and Isaac, and he passed that down to his son Joseph. Okay, and how did he have that influence on Joseph? First thing we just talked about through his final words. on his deathbed, right, to his final word, he passed down that covenant to Joseph. And Joseph, you see, it's like giving that torch, pass to Joseph. Okay, this covenant, now you fulfill it. Now you go and run and take care of it, right? And then at the end, sure enough, it was Joseph that fulfilled that covenant when he was buried at Shechem at 1390 BC. It's because before he died, he reminded, hey, I'm giving you, for sure God will give you this land. I'm giving you this one portion of Shechem. Okay? Hold on to God's covenant and go there. And then, secondly, again, Jacob, remember, he even bought the land already, right? Land of Shechem. It's almost like preparing for the burial of his son Joseph. He already bought that land, and then it would be a land, for his firstborn, special firstborn Joseph to be buried. So this shows he already paved the way. He already paved the way for the covenant torch to be fulfilled. He believed in that covenant. He gave the final word to Joseph. He actually already prepared everything. He already paved the way. It's already yours. Already bought it. Go. Right. And that's why in his deathbed he gave it to Joseph. This is called the principle of representation. In the Redemptive series, the second book, the author actually used another story to explain this. He used the story of the centurion servant. Do you remember the story in the New Testament, the centurion servant who was healed? Can we turn to Matthew chapter 8, verse 5? Matthew chapter 8, verse 5.
And when Jesus entered Capernaum, a centurion
came to me. Oh, you have to move up. Sorry.
centurion came to him, imploring him.
Yeah. Remember the story? He pleaded, please help my servant. And then the story goes, oh, and then Jesus, okay, I'll go. And he said, no, don't go. Just say the word, and my servant will be healed. And he said, oh, you have great faith, greater than what I've seen here in this land. That was in Matthew, right? We just read part of it. And let's go to turn to Luke chapter 7, verse 3. The same parallel story, but it's written differently, right? It's a different account. Luke chapter 7, verse 3.
The centurion heard of Jesus and sent some elders of the Jews to him, asking him to come and heal his servant.
Yeah, but in Luke it says no, he did not go himself, but he sent his servant, he sends the elders to go ask Jesus, please come and save my servant, please heal him. Right? So from here in Luke we see that he did not come himself, but instead he sent somebody else. But Matthew, again here, because Matthew shows the faith of the centurion. It shows how it's greatly esteemed as if he went himself. As if, even though he sent to the thing, but because of his faith, his great esteem, as if he went to Jesus and pleaded with Jesus, please come and save my servant. So, likewise, it's a representation, right? He's sending representation. So likewise, Stephen, speaking in the spiritual level, preached that Joseph was buried at Shechem. Because Jacob was buried at Shechem. Why? Because he's the one that gave the word to his son Joseph. He paved the way for the son Joseph to get that land, right? And buried there, and all that, it's for his Joseph's inheritance, for all his descendants. So that's why he preached. Jacob was buried there, Because he had that, he even shows that he had the insider faith to even purchase the land prepared for Joseph. And based on his faith, on the basis of Jacob's faith, Joseph was buried there. Okay, so he was showing Jacob's faith. Second, contradictory. There's the second one. And then here is who purchased Shechem. Who purchased Shechem? We read it earlier. Who purchased Shechem? Jacob purchased Shechem, right? For how much? 100 pieces of money or 100 pieces of silver. Right? He purchased it. But what did David even say? Who purchased that? Let's go turn to, it was the same verse that we read earlier in Acts chapter 7, verse 15 to 16. Same. Acts chapter 7, verse 15 to 16.
And Jacob went down to Egypt, and there he and our fathers died. From there they were removed to Shechem and laid in the tomb which Abraham had purchased for a sum of money from the sons of Hamor in Shechem.
So who bought Shechem then? Who did he say who bought Shechem? Abraham. Right? Abraham bought that. And then, did Abraham physically purchase that land? No, we know it was Jacob, right? For 100 pieces of silver. But we know something, again, he was speaking in the spiritual level. We know why? Because that land was promised to Abraham. Why? When he went there the first time and then God promised him this land and he built an altar there, God promised it to Abraham. But it was Jacob who purchased the land. So, but from the covenantal perspective, it is as if Abraham purchased the land. He received the covenant. He passed it down to Jacob. He believed in the covenant. And because he believed, he purchased Shechem, right? Remember I was talking about how do we know he received and I said in Hebrews, they were in the tent together for 15 years. And he was able to receive the word of God, receive covenant from Abraham and Isaac, Jacob. Okay? He was able to receive that. So he inherited that faith from Abraham. And then because he inherited that faith, he believing that, okay, God will fulfill. I'm going to purchase for sure one day this will be going to be our land. Okay. So he believed truly one day this will be the inheritance for Abraham's descendants. So it's just like he was following Abraham's footsteps. He also built the altar at Shechem. When Abraham, he was there and he built the altar. By faith, he already believed that land. He built there, okay, that land, for sure God will promise that land will be his. It's the same thing. He built the altar by faith, knowing that Shechem or the land of Canaan will be theirs, okay? So, the altar was there, and it's very possible that Jacob, when he returned, he saw that altar. He reminded, oh, wait a minute, my grandfather Abraham, talked about this, and I can see the altar here. And what did he do? He purchased the land. Okay? Got faith, and he was able to see and understand and believe, and he purchased it. Oh yeah, that promise. Okay, I remember now. That path that he went from Aram, he went to Shechem, right? And even that has a reason. Okay, and then that's how important Shechem is. So Abraham has that decisive influence in that purchase. If he did not say anything, no altar, nothing, there's a chance that maybe Jacob would not have purchased Shechem. Who's this? A foreign man. I promised God to go to Bethel. I could just go to Bethel, I promise. And he blessed me. He protected me. I could go there and build my altar there in Bethel. Right? If he did not say anything, if nothing, no covenant passed by, whatever, maybe he wouldn't even try to steal that birthright from Esau. He wouldn't try to fight it, but he really believed, and he did that, right? And so that he influenced in the purchase, his faith, the passing down of the covenant influence, the faith. One example that I use, personal example, is my dad. Okay, my dad, he was an orphan, and he was just a baby, and they just put him in the temple. And so he was adopted by my grandparents, his adopted parents, and they are Chinese. So my dad, we don't know what he is, but we think he is half Indian. My dad is half Indian, and a quarter Chinese, a quarter Indonesian. And my mom is Chinese Indonesian. So he doesn't look Chinese, okay? He look more Indian than Chinese. And then, but the Chinese couple took him and taught him, and influenced on him the culture of China, the beliefs of China, ideology of China, and put it into him and tell him the story about the hometown. This village, this small village mission in China. And it's oh, that's our hometown, and this is our home. Even though he was born in Indonesia, we don't know who his parents were, but he was trained, right? He heard every day from my grandparents, China. So what happened? So when he grows up, he went there to China. He will see, he's like, to him, because in his heart, even though he doesn't know Chinese, but his heart is, China is my hometown. Because my parents, put that inside, that seed inside me, okay, that's my hometown. And when he grew older and started making money, what did he do? He went to China, to that thing, and he really wanted to make that small village, it's really poor, grow. So he started building bridges, he started building schools, he built homes, and recently he just gave a building to church. He said, use this and make it to church. Because his heart, he wants to make Malaysia, a small town, into something, a great town. And then, for the longest time, he even put that in the children. Says, hey, that's home, okay, that's home. To me, it's not. To me, it's not. I don't speak, it's a totally different dialect, okay? But this man, because he was raised by this couple of Chinese, he speaks many Chinese dialects. It's sometimes funny. People, sometimes it really hurt. I think it hurts him because when he goes to China, and people say, hey, look at that foreigner can speak Chinese. But to him, it's like, I probably hit him really hard. Like, no, I'm Chinese. To him, he is Chinese. Okay? Even though he doesn't look, and people say, oh, look at the foreigner can speak better Chinese than you. But it probably hurt him a lot. Okay? But he built all that things. And not only that, guess what? All those bridges, the schools, the museums, whatever he did there, he put my grandparents' name. Not his name, but my grandparents' name. Right? So when people see it, they don't see him, they see my grandparents, the house, the this and that. Okay? So why would he do all that? It's because he received it. He received all those stories from my grandparents. Okay? If they did not do that, why would he do that? He probably go somewhere. Hopefully, I was hoping Europe. Europe and go by all of it. But no, China, this small town, right? And he became like celebrity there. Because he really, he really put everything there. Same thing. Okay? For me, it's easy for me to understand this. Because it's very personal, it's a personal experience. It's something that I can see. Okay? So my dad, he just gave all the credit to my grandparents. So likewise, Abraham made, Abraham, Isaac, probably made that impression on Jacob. Not only that, he was able to see the altar there. He probably able to see the altar and he said, okay, I believe. From the very beginning, he believed. He's someone who likes to go intent. And then he purchased Shechem. And then not only for who? To pass on to the next. Because he knows about the fourth generation. He knows about the Amorites. Right? Instead of bad, right? He gave it to Joseph. I gave you this one portion, Shechem. I'm fighting with you, hands and sword. I fight the Amorites with you guys. Right? So that's why, again, he was able to, he knows about God's covenant, and he believed that land would belong to him. And then, even though it wasn't Abraham that purchased, but he received that credit. And Stephen, filled with the Holy Spirit, he knows where that came from, and it came from Abraham. So he recognized it as if Abraham purchased the piece of land in Shechem. So from the covenantal perspective, again, he was satisfied that it was Abraham, okay? Because he inherited that. And then so these issues can be understood only through faith in God's administration in His redemption. People may or may not accept, but only through faith in God's history of redemption. When we study the history of redemption, we study, why things fall into place in a certain way. Why this happened, why that happened. When we really understand and have faith in that, then it's easier for us to be able to digest, okay, yes, this is the case. But if not, maybe it's not easy for people to be able to digest. Okay. And then lastly, I want to talk about is what is the redemptive significance of Shechem? We're talking all Shechem here and the contradictions here, but now we want to talk about the redemptive significance of Shechem. By doing this, we have to look at the name Shechem. Okay. Earlier we saw Shechem portion, right? The one portion. Okay. So we want to look at the origin. So Shechem means shoulder. Shoulder bearing burden. And it comes from the word Shechem. Shechem, okay. And then from this word Shechem, we get the shoulder bearing burdens. And it's referring to loading something up early on someone's back, okay, on someone's shoulder or an animal's back. So it's again referring to loading something up early on one's shoulder or on the back of an animal. And from this meaning, right away, when we think about shoulders, back, right away we think about Jesus Christ. Right? From this word, He came. Why? Because He's the one who came to this earth and bore that heavy cross for mankind. Can we turn to Matthew chapter 11, verse 25? Matthew chapter 11, verse 25.
At this time, Jesus said, I praise you, Father, Lord.
Oh, sorry, 28. Sorry. Matthew 11:28.
Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your soul.
Amen. So Shechem, again, the word here, again, it means shoulder, bearing shoulder. It reminds us how Jesus bore the cross, and he collapsed many times when he was going all the way to Golgotha, carrying that heavy cross. And he underwent all that for who? To liberate all people from their burden. He says, "Come, you who are labor and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Right? From his name, you get that. And let's turn also. Can we turn to Psalm chapter 68, verse 19? Psalm 68, verse 19.
Praise be to the Lord, God our Savior, who daily bears our burdens.
It says, "Blessed be the Lord, who daily bears our burdens. The God is our salvation." And so, and that's the first meaning. Okay? And another meaning for Shechem is to rise early in the morning. Rise early in the morning, or to start early. Not only did Jesus bear the cross, but he rose again, right? He bore the cross, he died on the cross. On the third day, he rose again at dawn. Okay. So again, it's pointing to Jesus Christ. Okay. So Shechem, it's always talking to Jesus Christ. And then his resurrection, right, gives us that new morning hope, new morning of hope. So that name that Shechem, the place where God promised, and a lot of things happen. This is built, that is built, this is bought, and then all the idols are buried there. They have to clean themselves. It's all pointing to Jesus Christ. See, we died and we resurrected in Christ and we become one with Him. So this Shechem is not just for them, it's also very important for us. Because of Jesus Christ, because what He did right here, there's no more sin, no more death. And because of this, we are given that eternal life from Him. This is like from this name, it's like a new beginning, right? Like a new chapter. Right? They all, they put all their idols there, go. It's like a new chapter. It's like a man, from prison, it's like getting released and having a new beginning. Let's read a couple verses to show that it's in the morning. Okay, let's go. Matthew chapter 28, verse 1. Matthew 28, 1, and then jump to 5 and 6. Matthew chapter 28, verse 1, and then 5 and 6.
Now after the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary came to look at the grave.
And then 5 and 5 to 6. The angel said to
the woman, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus who has been crucified. He is not here, for He has risen, just as He said. Come, see the place where He was lying."
Yeah, to rise early in the morning, to start early, it reminds us of Jesus Christ. At early dawn, He has risen. Okay? And then not only that, the Bible says He is the bright morning star. Let's turn to Revelation chapter 22, verse 16. When He returns, He shall be as the bright morning star. Oh, sorry, yeah. 22 verse 16.
I, Jesus, have sent my angel to testify to you these things for the churches. I am the root and the descendant of David, the bright morning star.
Amen. So He is our new morning hope. And then again, it points to Jesus Christ. And I was going to share one more thing. Not only that, later on, this place Shechem, you know what they turned this Shechem into? During when they enter into Canaan, the Israelites, what did they make this city Shechem into? You guys remember? They made it into a place of refuge. What is a place of refuge? Is when they have this place when someone, yes, when someone accidentally kills someone, not premedited, he accidentally kills someone, then the family of the deceased, right, wanted to kill him, but he can escape to the place of refuge. He can stay here. If he stays here, and then they find out, okay, he is innocent, okay, he can stay here. Okay? And when he's here, he cannot leave from this place. If he leaves from this place, then the family deceased can kill him. Can kill that person. The only way he can go back to his hometown, the Bible says, if the high priest during his time died, the high priest died, then he can return back to his hometown, right? That's the deal they make. And if the high priest died and he returned, let's say the deceased family kill him, then the blood will be on them and they will be stoned, they will die. They cannot touch him anymore. Okay? When the high priest dies, they cannot touch him, he can go back home. And here again is again pointing to Jesus Christ. Right? Shechem again, Jesus Christ, because why? He is our eternal high priest. When he died, all our sins, all those things are all buried on the cross. No, we have no more. When he dies, we live, right? No more sins. Nobody can touch us. We belong to Christ now. So again, when the high priest dies again, everything is forgiven. Jesus died on the cross, all our sins are forgiven. He shed his blood, all our sins are forgiven. And what? We have this morning hope. Right? This new morning hope of life. Now we're new. All that old clothes, that garments, that old ways, the impurities, all that is washed away. All that is buried. Jesus is the high priest. He says in the Bible, in the order of Melchizedek. Right? He's the eternal high priest. He died once and for all. Back then, high priests, they have to do it every year. They have to do it every year to atone for people's sin. But not Jesus, eternal. Why? Because the high priests, they will die. Right? Because the people, man high priests, they are also sinners, but Jesus is perfect, without blemish. He's the eternal high priest. Again, showing the crucifixions and the resurrections of Jesus Christ. Okay. So, the root, again, from this name, Shechem, it brings to light Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection in the view of the redemptive history. And if you believe in the cross and the resurrection of Jesus Christ, then, and we truly believe that everything's clean, everything's buried there, then we can fulfill the common torch. The common torch, again, is not just for Israel, it's talking about us. It's really talking about, we from the sinful world. We got pulled out, we got baptized, and then we got trained in the church. And then we enter into after that, then we receive the word. After we receive the word, then we enter into the promised land. This is like, you can see the covenant torch here. Right, from Egypt to crossing the Red Sea, and this is our journey too. And you have to again, if you believe in His cross, the crucifixion and resurrection, then you can participate. Then you can move forward to the promised land. And again, what we have to do again, then as Christians, and we have to receive this, bear a cross, and rise up in the morning and do the task that God wants us to do. Amen? So I'm going to conclude that. Okay, that's what I want to share with you with Shechem, the importance of Shechem. So let us pray.